Hi everyone, LiberAnarchy here, responding to Brittany Simon. Her video is The Reality of Communities. I am not going to respond to every point. I'm going to respond to a few points. I agree with you on some things and disagree with you on other things. In general, my opinion of respecting people essentially in their territory is more or less in line with yours, but we do differ on one point. Now, well, the way I see it is if you are choosing to go into somebody else's territory, then show that person or show that group respect. Now, you don't have to agree with them and you can voice open disagreement, but do it respectfully if you're choosing to go there, because you don't have to go there. And if you don't want to go there, then by all means, don't go there. If you cannot respect a certain group of people, don't go there. I should probably never ever set foot in a Catholic church. Were I invited to a Catholic church, I would have to think on it a bit, because if I couldn't stop myself from standing up in the middle of Mass and saying, "You guys shelter pedophiles," then yeah, I probably shouldn't go there. And you know what? People are not going to listen to me if I do something like that. Why should I bring such things to, say, YouTube or to a blog? Because people who are interested in the issue can come to my YouTube channel or my blog and see it. But the people in that church aren't going to go to places that are going to question their religion. First of all, that is a very cynical attitude toward people in general. It's this attitude of like, well, human beings, or we're all, or most of us are these slimebag idiots who are only interested in bread and circuses, but somehow you are the special smart person. And I believe that attitude, whether it's from religion or from the government or from corrupt people in business, leads to many people getting, or leads to many people using other people who are going to buy that stuff. If you have bought into the propaganda that you're worthless if you weigh 10 pounds more than you should, then it's going to be easier to sell you a diet pill, even if that diet pill is completely ineffective. But anyway, moving right along. I do not agree with you as far as the communion issue. I understand your position. I understand that Catholics, most Catholics, the mainline Catholic Church considers homosexuality a sin, and if somebody is a practicing Catholic and is homosexual, they are or sinning. Now, some people would say, "Oh, well, she would have had to have lied with a woman or something." I'm not going to split hairs. Your position is that she technically, by Catholic rules, cannot receive communion. My position is that the people conducting funerals in any religion are doing it for the living, not for the dead. What's the word I'm looking for? Any sort of religious official, I think. Mind you, I think that Catholicism is bullshit. I think the vast majority of religions are bullshit, and the ones that aren't would be more nature focused and don't necessarily have to have all the rules that they have, and they are going to be such that, you know, we have our rituals and we have our things and so on and so forth, but we do understand that the rituals themselves aren't, you know, magical abracadabra. They're more like, okay, we're doing this to honor nature or honor our ancestors or our whatever our concept of the divine is, but we know it is in the end a ritual. It is made up, whether it was made up 2,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago or 5 days ago, it was made up. And it's how believers attempt to relate to the divine. I've gotten off topic, but yeah, the vast majority of religions, in my opinion, are bullshit. And I do some meditation and some New Age stuff. And as soon as I lose perspective, as soon as I lose the idea that I'm working with my mind, as soon as I lose the understanding that just because I experience it, it does not mean that it is externally, literally, objectively true for all people all the time, then I'm working in bullshit. Okay. Now then. Okay, back to the religious people. And religious leaders of any tradition. When doing burials, they are there for the living, for the people who are there, for the people who are mourning. And see, because the people who are dead, well, if you're an atheist, they're dead. They're in the ground. Their brain has stopped working. They are no longer a conscious entity. They are dead. They are worm food. They live on in our hearts and in our minds and in our memories and in legacies, but they're dead. They don't care what's going on at their funeral. They don't care if a lesbian is receiving communion or if you fling the chicken to the east too many times. They don't care. If you are a believer in any religion, they are in a bardo plane, they're in heaven, or hopefully you don't believe they're in hell, but or maybe they're in HE single hockey stick hell, which isn't a bad place. And maybe they're in the Elysian fields, or they're in a bardo plane, or they're reincarnated, or they've gone back to their home planet. If you believe in the whole starseed thing, there's a billion religions under the sun. Or they are in the ground awaiting judgment. Point is, they no longer care what's happening at their stinking funeral. Now, there are some traditions that do believe that, they burn something called hell money, or they, give food and drinks to the spirits of their ancestors. But even that, I think, is for the living to remember the dearly departed. And to, kind of think about the place of the individual as it relates to the whole. And where we fit in. We want a place in society, we want a place within our families, and we want to fit in somewhere and be part of the grand scheme. We're social animals. Now, but the living people are still around, and if a person cannot put dogma aside and help look after the living, then in the name of dogma, that's pretty sad. Now keep in mind, I don't believe in the dogma. But, and I was raised Catholic. I was raised a very liberal Catholic, actually. And in that sense, I am lucky because, yes, you are right. There are some Catholics who go to confession every single day. Daily confession. That cannot be good on a person's psyche. But, yeah. So, sorry, I sound like I'm eating or something. Yeah, so just not, I do get that the priest likely believed that it was wrong according to dogma, but in that situation, I think you have to weigh the situation, weigh the options. Does my dogma actually make sense, or does it make more sense? Is it more Christ-like to commune with a person who is suffering because she has lost a loved one? Now, my dad, being Catholic, when he died, we had a Catholic funeral, and part of that funeral was a visitation, and it was horrible. Horrible. Especially on my mom. Basically, for the people who were alive mourning, who weren't particularly serious about any particular religion, it'd be nice to have a little service and all this, but for us, it just dragged on. And to have an open casket visitation, because that's the traditional way of having it, just drove the point home. When you are with somebody who is wasting away already, you're not going to want to see the open casket. And he did not look peaceful. It was not, oh, he has just such a peaceful countenance. Oh, he's in a better place. Well, we'll remember him fondly. No. There's nobody who could have made this corpse look like anything but just a really poor, emaciated man who died way too early of something really, really awful. So, here we have, I think it was worse on my mom, but yeah, here we have this open casket, and the family is expected to socialize. So, my point is, sure, you can obey the dogma, and I know that you are not defending Catholic dogma in the sense of saying that it's right, but there are times when even the believers in it need to set it aside in favor of humanity, okay? And I'm laughing because if I wasn't laughing, I would be crying or yelling, and I don't want to yell at you or anything because none of this is your fault. I just disagree. It's just that there were real living humans suffering, and dogma essentially dictated that we would essentially have an extra kick in the teeth before the funeral, and all the family real nice, brought food and very supportive, but they could have done that anyway, and they would have done that anyway without the stupid visitation. Yeah. And then the Catholic funeral, and yeah, that was just it was like having two funerals, really. It was horrible. Just horrible. And so, as I see it, a funeral is supposed to help people cope with the loss of a loved one, as well as cope with the notion, it's not even the reality that we don't go on forever. Even if you do believe in a soul, even if you do believe that the personality exists beyond death, there is still the reality of death. And you still don't really know how, no matter how much you would like to think that you do. And so, yeah, funerals are supposed to help us, the living, cope with a lot of very difficult things. And so I really think that in some situations, dogma needs to be just set aside. Now, okay, another point, as far as LGBT people, I do sometimes, certainly not all the time, but I do sometimes see a sort of herd mentality in the LGBT community. I don't think that you are obligated to join or be in that community, nor the atheist community, or any community you don't want to be. I mean, if you don't want to associate with people, good heavens, don't. You know, only associate with people you want to. Now, something I have seen in the LGBT community is a tendency to, how to say this, a tendency to be loyal to the political left, a tendency to be on the political left. Now, I don't, as I see it, buy into this false dilemma, either Republican or Democrat, either right or left. You either have some wacky commie that's going to redistribute our wealth, or some religious nut bar that's going to tell us, you know, that this that's going to say who can and can't get married, and and outlaw abortion or something, which the executive branch could not do. But what the executive branch can do is appoint Supreme Court judges who may reverse Roe v. Wade, but that would take that's not realistic. It's like, okay, let's vote based on something that is 25 steps ahead or something. Yeah, but yeah, I don't buy into this idea that I'm supposed to vote for, either somebody that's going to run our economy into the ground even more, which Republicans certainly run it into the ground with war, and the Democrats run it into the ground with welfare schemes, which it has nothing to do with the welfare and with the welfare of humans and helping people out of poverty. The system isn't set up that way. In fact, I had a friend who is politically liberal make a video about how welfare, at least in her state, is not set up to help people raise their station in life. Rather, it is set up to keep people dependent. I couldn't have explained it better than she did. Now, okay, yeah, myself, I am transgender, and you can believe me or you cannot believe me, and I know that I have at least one friend who does not believe me, which is his prerogative, and he has a religious group up in Ohio, and I'm sure that they would not omit me because they believe men are men and women are women. And that men and women have certain defined roles. And I don't want to join a group like that. They wouldn't want me joining, and that's okay. They get to not have me, and I get to not join, so, it's good. That's okay. But, my point is, I am part of the LGBT community, and you know what? I am a big fan of Austrian economics. And you know what else? I would love for my compatriots to get out of this dichotomy of, well, I have to vote for somebody who is big into the welfare state and increasing dependence on government so that we don't get a religious nutter in office who wants to, make it illegal to touch a butthole, like in Texas. Yeah. I would love to see my compatriots get into Ludwig von Mises or Friedrich A. Hayek or Murray, M-U-R-A-Y, in Rothbard. I mean, let's see. Oh, good gracious. Yeah. And, now, if you're in the liberty movement, there are people who are anarchists of various stripes, but who will not vote because they see it as an endorsement of the state. But there are a lot of minarchists who are very much into the whole Ron Paul revolution. Now, personally, just being pragmatic, I will vote, and I hope to vote in the Republican primaries. Because in my state, you don't have to be a Republican to do that. And I will vote for Ron Paul. Although it is not, I don't think anybody with a brain sees it as an endorsement of the state. Me voting is me saying, I want to be a little bit less miserable. I want a slightly less tyrannical government if I have to be governed. I want the taskmaster to whip me less, much less. Even though I'd prefer there not even be a taskmaster. But yes, I'm very pragmatic in that sense. And you could call me inconsistent, but again, I don't want to. What I don't want is to help the state keep growing until it collapses in on itself and creates just the literal Mad Max shit scenario. And it may be literal if we get into this mess with Iran. Well, actually, it's not even us. It will affect us, but you and me aren't making the decisions. So, yeah. Okay. Now, I've gotten into my own politics. But yeah, I think a lot of people in the LGBT community would do well to learn more about economics. I mean, I don't want to be insulting to people, but yeah. And see, libertarians, the cool thing about libertarians, they don't really care. They don't even want to know what you do in your bedroom. And as far as gay marriage, the libertarian view is, wait a minute, why are people, heterosexuals, gays, bisexuals, transgender people, monogamous, polyamorous, whatever, why are we even asking the government to issue marriage license? Why is anybody asking the government for a marriage license? Why isn't it that 2 or more grown adults can't enter into a contract with or without religion by themselves without getting permission from the government? I don't think marriage equality, as it's called, restores anybody to a place of dignity, because we're still in a situation where grown men and women need permission to get married from the government. So, excuse me. I should probably end on that note. And you would say, oh, but some libertarians are these like wacky religious fucktards. Yes, we are a Christian nation. Da, 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 da. Okay, well, first of all, some of those people aren't actually libertarians. Or they think they are, but they're not, and some of them just aren't, but they happen to go to some libertarian events or something. Or you may have a Ron Paul supporter that thinks, America's a Christian nation, or whatever, creationism, I'm a fucktard. But most of those people are Rick Santorum supporters. On the issue of marriage, Rick Santorum wants to make a national law prohibiting same-sex marriage. So it's not even a matter of, oh, it's not technically constitutional to make same-sex marriage legal everywhere. It's more, he wants to, and it isn't constitutional, by the way, but he wants to say fuck the Constitution and make it completely illegal everywhere to marry the same sex. What? Yeah. So, that's like the most vile end of conservatism right there. It's like, we don't want the government in our wallets. unless it's for wars. Lots and lots and lots of wars. And we're gonna get in your bedroom for the sake of the family. Yeah. So, but anyway, so now that I've gotten off on that topic, but yeah, I would really love to see more LGBT people, LBGP, long abbreviation people who are interested in the libertarian movement or even just the minarchist movement, which is part of the liberty movement. Maybe interested in Ron Paul or something that not just yay Obama. Okay, he repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Okay, that's a good thing, but if the Bush, just in case the Bush bailouts weren't bad enough, Obama decided let's have some more bailouts, and then let's have like a bunch of make work jobs, and then let's throw tax money at a failing solar company, Solyndra. Hey, it's not my fucking money. Yeah. And then just because insurance companies are smarmy, let's put American healthcare in the hands of government, which is more smarmy only because you can't choose to not pay them. Like a business you can choose not to pay. You can choose just completely not to engage. And yes, many times insurance companies do suck. Yes, there does need to be reform, not in healthcare, but in how we pay for healthcare, no matter how you do pay for it. But you must realize that insurance companies were helping to draft this, quote, healthcare plan. It's not healthcare. It's a change in the way we pay for healthcare. But yeah, okay. So yeah, just saying repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, although it's a good thing, it's yeah. That doesn't make him a good president. So yeah, there is, in my opinion, sometimes a herd mentality in the LGBT community, and I've seen, and I'm not one of these self-hating, oh well, if gays just weren't flaming, then we wouldn't be beaten up. No, that's transference of responsibility. I'm not like that guy. If you've seen that guy who might even be a troll, no. But I have seen situations where, if you express a conservative viewpoint on anything, because I'm economically conservative, socially liberal, you're suddenly seen as self-hating or part of the religious right or supporting the people who would literally make being gay illegal, because there are some wacky religious nutters in government, and it is disgusting and scary, but not every economic conservative is a Republican. Some of us are libertarians, and even though people debate about what libertarian means, let's start with the definition of government, whether you're all about private defense firms and private arbitration firms, or whether you're a minarchist and you believe that government is there to provide for the common defense. The role of government is to prevent force and fraud. Well, what about when a big business blah blah blah? Well, what you're probably going to talk about is either an act of force or an act of fraud. All the banking shenanigans, those are acts of fraud. By the way, how many occupiers have been arrested and how many bankers have been arrested? Just saying. Yeah, none of the bankers. Why? They pay the government. Why? The government takes the money. The government accepts it. So, but yeah, if we didn't have the government as it stands today, there'd be no one to bribe. There'd be nobody with a monopoly on the use of coercive force to bribe. Having said that, yeah, okay. So, yeah, I would like to see more LGBT people that don't have some raging hard-on for Barack Obama. Okay, yeah, and I'm not saying every one of any group does or says anything. It's no. There are exceptions. Of course, there are exceptions. But yeah, okay. So I'm done with this fucking video because I'm definitely rambling, and I'm probably gonna get like a shit ton of comments. Good lord. By the way, oh dear God. 2 points for anyone that can insert. Okay. If anyone can mesh the words 1%, GMOs, and any related any conspiracy theory, not even related, but 1% GMOs in reference to any conspiracy theory in a single comment, you win a point. They're imaginary points. They're fiat points, okay? And it is the only currency that can stand on my channel, and I can be like the Federal Reserve and just keep printing out these imaginary points and not reference them to anything in reality like gold or silver or copper, and and that is the only currency that is worth anything on my channel. So if you're going to do business on my channel, you must use that currency. And and I can just print a whole bunch of money, and you can what you can do is essentially lend your points to me and earn interest, but meanwhile I'll be printing more points and essentially completely devaluing your points. But since I'm in control of the points, I still get essentially richer and richer. So yeah, that's my imaginary point scheme. That's my fiat point scheme, Yes. How did I get on this? Yeah, but yeah, if you can fit 1% GMOs in reference to any conspiracy theory in a comment on my channel, you win a point. I swear. And if you want to argue that we didn't land, well, I guess we never did land on the moon, unless I'm talking to somebody that actually did. But okay, but if you want to argue that human beings were never on the moon, at least not from the States, in my comments, please do. Have fun with that. That's one of the more ridiculous conspiracy theories. Oh God. Or if you want to argue, I just remembered David Icke. If you want to argue that there are I can't even say this with a straight face. If you want to argue that there are reptilians disguised as humans that are in positions of power in the United States government or in world governments, yeah, go ahead and do that on these comments here, because I'm in for the lols. Another channel I watch, apparently there's some people that, and I think these people may be a joke, but maybe not, because there are some crazies out there. It's the internet too. I'm on YouTube. There are some crazies out there. Like, I need to inform you of this fact. Right, so there's some group that's some sort of reptilian watch group, and they put his videos on their channel, and they are warning people that he is a reptilian, and they send him a PM. We warn you. We're warning people about you because you're a reptilian. Whatever. Wow. I mean, just this is on the level of True Force loneliness. Oh my god. Remember them? Oh. Oh if you're a TFL member, comment on this video. I mean, let it fly. I mean, let the bullshit fly. I mean, throw it all in a cannon and let it fly.